Welcome back to Blade's Banter. You're here with your co-host, uh, Bob Thornblade, former Wolverine, Coach Blade, and we're breaking down everything Michigan. And then you got me, Young Blade, also a former football coach. We're here for Wisconsin Michigan game week, coming off a bye. Hopefully, we got healthy. We're looking to build our defense up. We are averaging 17.8 points against a game. We're looking to improve that this week against Wisconsin, put a clamp on the Badgers, and then we're also interested to see what our offense is going to do against these guys. We're in the midst of Big Ten action. I'm really interested to talk about the Big Ten. Coach always breaks it down and where we stand, but we wouldn't be able to talk about the Big Ten without talking about Oregon, Penn State, and the performance of Dante Moore. Obviously, a tremendous talent. We saw that and we've talked about it, but you saw him perform the biggest on the biggest stage in Happy Valley in a whiteout in a night game on Saturday, Coach. And I know we got to watch it together. I want you to I've talked to you about it at length, but tell me a little bit about what you saw Saturday night
First of all, let me
for
correct the
Oregon.
introduction. Not a former Wolverine player, but always a Wolverine. Always. Still a Wolverine. Forever.
There you go.
Till they stick me in the ground. All right. Oregon, Penn State. It was a tremendous game. And a lot of great players on both sides of the field. And the game, of course, overtime game, it could go either way. Allard threw the interception at the end, to finish the game. But he's an impressive quarterback. The kid out of Detroit is extraordinary, Moore. Boy, he's gifted. And we talked about the great quarterbacks in his conference. He may be the best, but there's a lot of good ones. I think when we talked last week, we neglected to talk about the Tennessee transfer at UCLA, who is an outstanding pro prospect. And then the young freshman at Minnesota lit it up. And we'll find out what he's made of this week when they go against the Buckeyes. So that was a wonderful game to watch, spectacular. It filled the void with no Michigan game. I don't like these buys. I think it's difficult to come off a bye, but I think for us, and we talked about it, we got it at a good time because we came off a victory, but there was a lot to correct. Coach Moore was able to come back, establish himself, and he identified several areas that he wanted to work on, which he emphasized. We talked about it. In coaching, you get what you emphasize, and he emphasized tackling, catching the ball with the receivers. And then I think he feels like the offensive line is improving. And he said they're getting better and they're getting nastier. And he used those words nastier. So he was very much focused on that, along with competition within the positions. And he talked about Marsh and the couple young freshman receivers playing well. That freshman defensive back who's been in there the last two games has been extraordinary. His name escapes me right now, but boy, he's distinguished himself. Our kicking is back, but I'm worried about our punting. I talk about that all the time. It's such an important play. Coach Schembechler preached that was the most important play in football because it dictates field position. And if you punt well and your net punt is over 38, then that's a reasonably good statistic. We are not over 38. We're at 37. Now, that said, Nebraska is under that. But before we go into all that, I did want to talk about the league. Our focus at Michigan is winning the Big Ten Conference. Now, and that's a good focus. It used to be if you won the Big Ten Conference, you'd win the right to go to the Rose Bowl and play in the greatest bowl game of them all. That is no longer the case. But now, if you can win the conference, it is certain that you will be in the CFP. So the winner of the SEC and the Big Ten Conference, the ACC, the Big 12, those leagues are if you win you win your league. Regardless, I think, of the outcome of the championship game, you're probably going to be selected to be in the CFP. So as we look around, This is interesting. There are only four undefeated teams left in the Big Ten. Only four. I think we went deep into the year, maybe 6 or 7 games with undefeated teams last year. And interestingly enough, a couple of those teams, Oregon and Ohio State, you could pick those. But Indiana, who looks tremendous, and came back after a great victory over Illinois and won a tighter game against Iowa. Iowa team that always plays great defense by 5 points is undefeated, along with Maryland. The Maryland Terrapins are undefeated. Now there are 2 teams in the Big Ten that are 4-1. That's USC and Illinois. And USC was undefeated till Illinois knocked them off last week. And that is college football. When teams get embarrassed and they have good coaches and they have a good culture, they're going to respond the next week, and Illinois did so. SC won a late game, a tough game against Michigan State, and they won it handily. And so they came out to the Midwest, and they lost to an Illinois team that had been embarrassed by Indiana. So that goes to tell you that the most difficult thing in college football is to get up for every game, to be at your best, to be inspired, to be highly motivated for every game, to be up for every game. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge for coaches, and that's a challenge for players. There are 6 teams that are 3-1 in the league: Michigan, Minnesota, Michigan State, Nebraska, Penn State, who lost that heartbreaker last week, and Washington, who got beat pretty good by the Buckeyes. They competed pretty good, but it was not a close game. The Buckeyes, it was never in doubt, in my opinion, and we watched that game too. So there's some big games around the league this week. We're in it now. We're in it. And so this is the march to the title, and this is fun. It's fun when we win. So Nebraska and Michigan State, one of those teams will come out with a loss, and they both have 1 loss in the league. And so 2 losses, I think you're eliminated. That's the way it looks. But I tell you, the way the league is this year, with some pretty good teams throughout. And then you always get a lesser team that'll rise up at home and challenge, a real good team. So, but I think, with 2 losses, you're certainly on the fringe and up against it. And we talked about Minnesota and Ohio State, and that'll be in Columbus, so that'll be our tough one. And then I think Washington and Maryland will be a telling game, and that's Washington goes all the way across the country to Maryland to play that game. So we're in it now, man. And so Michigan is right where we want to be. We are undefeated in the league. We need to continue to win our league games. All our goals, regardless of what happened in that Oklahoma game, which was a great learning experience for us, are ahead of us, and they're within our reach. But we got to be at our very best. We got to be better than we were against Nebraska. We need to hopefully have improved and made progress over these last 2 weeks. And I think Coach Moore came in ready after sitting down for a week and corralled, and he was ready, I think, to get after the kids. And it appears to me that we've had some real competitive practices, which is good, which is real good.
I
made some improvement.
I can't believe I didn't say that in my intro. Our fearless leader, Coach Moore, is back. I'm super excited to have him back. His whole mantra of 2025 is, team over me, and staying connected, and all of our team staying connected through the adversity of him being out, having a new interim coach, all these different things. I think I saw all that really on full display. Coming back in that game that we looked like we were beating up on Nebraska and only winning by 3, toughing it out. Really excited for that. And just on that note, Coach, talking about the Big Ten, it's crazy. Everybody anointed USC as the best offense in the land. Illinois was great. They're pretty good. But they didn't
shut that offense down. Lemon is a tremendous receiver. The quarterback's very good, and so is that running back.
they had a terrible call on the offensive line down field, and that
Offensive lineman downfield, that was a horrible call. We're seeing some difficult, bad calls, but that's you got to overcome that.
so
And
they
that's
anointed.
that's not new. That is not
Yeah,
new.
they were saying
Um,
how great
I
Illinois
appreciate
is, and then they lost to Indiana, and now Illinois comes back and plays a really great game. I mean, they ran the ball. Their big back number 3 was
he's
running
impressive.
all over
And that
USC. I mean,
quarterback's a good player. That
it
quarterback's a
just goes
good
to
player.
show you how good the Big Ten is this year and all the things that can happen. Like you said, 2 games. I mean, you almost don't want to go to the championship game and get into the playoff and get.
That's what Ohio State did, and
Yeah,
then they
it's
they got on that run. They had 2 losses. They didn't play in the playoff game, and then they made that great run and won the championship.
well. I'm just happy to have Coach Moore back. I think it's going to be. I mean, there's just less moving parts. He has done an unbelievable job as a head coach. There's a reason why we've
Well, in the
hired him.
Wisconsin game, I love Biff. Biff made a mistake
Yeah, yeah,
when he didn't call timeout for that. Made a coaching mistake, time management,
yep,
and that's. I mean, that's not. I'm not critical. A mistake I could have made certainly, or anybody else.
yeah.
But we got the man back now. He's got patience. He's a tough guy, and when you played for a guy like Carr or Schembechler, and I think Moore possesses this quality. He's a relationship coach. Now, I'm not talking about being best friends with the players, but the players respect him like you would your father or a mentor, and they want to please him, and they want his affirmation. The greatest thing that when Coach played for Coach Schembechler, if he said you were a tough son of a gun, not certainly in those terms. They might use another phrase, son of something, but he that was the greatest accolade you could get. And if he said, if he told you he was disappointed in you, you were crushed. And that's, I think, the relationship coaches command that kind of respect, and the kids like to play for him, and they play for him too. I think Biff said, it was a love letter. I don't like those terms. Love letter to the victory was a love letter to Coach Moore. And everybody missed him in the building. And so he's back. He's been back for 2 weeks now. So we're back on track. We have goals. We have ambitions. We want to go a long way. I think we have the talent, but we can't stay status quo. We got to improve. I understand that some of the other players are, knocking on the door. I love that Cole Sullivan. We've talked about him. So we have 3 good linebackers. But I like Sullivan in the game. He's got 2 interceptions, but that guy makes big plays, and he's around the ball, and they rave about his athleticism. So I like him, but he's evolving. I think we have the finest running back, perhaps in the country, in Justice Haynes, and a real good one that backs him up in Jordan Marshall. Justice Haynes, I think, leads the league. He's got over 537 yards and leads the league in rushing. And boy, he's been a great, not a surprise because we knew he was good, but man, he's a home run hitter and he runs hard. But I also think he brings a lot to the table in the locker room with his approach. I mean,
Oh,
he plays to
absolutely.
win.
Yes.
I mean, he is a fiery competitor.
He's a competitor. Yes, coach.
I like that about him. And we talked about, when he got on our young quarterback, and that he needs to channel that a little bit differently. But there's nothing wrong with getting Bryce's attention and saying, you made a mistake and don't do it again. I'm a senior. We will only win. We will only win this thing if our seniors and our veteran players have their greatest year of football. And that's on and off the field. That's in the locker room, in the classroom. They have to do it all for us. They have to lead. They have to lead these young guys and teach them the Michigan way and what it means to be Michigan. Now we got a guy come from Alabama, this Justice. So he brings something to the table because he's been around Saban and those guys. So the culture is similar. And we play to win. We want to win, and we're going to work and do what's required to win. So it's good to have him back. I think that Wisconsin, certainly we cannot take Wisconsin lightly.
No,
Luke Fickle is, they want, they're talking about firing Luke Fickle, who was the most sought after coach in the country just a few years ago after those great years at Cincinnati. But they're upset in Madison, and they're not happy. They want the Alvarez years back. They want to get in the I formation and run it down your throat. I think Luke, who's a defensive coach, understands that things are different now in college football, and you've got to spread the field a little bit. By the same token, they have some kids on that offensive line that are 6'7", 6'8", over 300, the two tackles. They got an offensive guard, three guys that are pro prospects that the pros rate in the 80 percentile. So they have some talent. They have a very fine defense. We're going to run into, and they got a real good linebacker that's highly regarded too, and a safety. So we're going to run into some good players, and Wisconsin will strike you. They have never been shirked away from contact, and they've never been conscientious objectors, as Coach Beckler used to call those fellas that that didn't like to mix it up. They are not. And they're going to come in here after a disappointing loss at home. Now they've had they have quarterback issues or issue, but that doesn't mean on any given Saturday you can't get a tremendous performance out of anybody. The kid who's playing came out of San Diego State. The guy who was meant to start played only a few series in the first games and went out with a left knee, Billy Edwards, and he's back, we think. So I think he's back, and he's more of a passer. He came over from Maryland, and so and they have, they're going to have a good concept.
Well, I think Luke Fickle's a tough coach. They are going to come out and they're going to try to hit us in the mouth. They're not going to come out and just try to finesse us. They're going to come out. They're going to be physical. They're going to try to play the same type of ball we play. They want to play really good defense. They want to control the clock. They want to do these things that we have perfected over the past couple of years, and we want to still keep getting better at. So I'm excited to see the matchup, Coach. I really do believe in Luke Fickle, even though
strength against strength in some ways. It's going to be our offensive. They have the top rushing defense in the country. Now, they have played Maryland and Alabama. They played Miami, Ohio, and beat them and shut them down. And then they played Middle Tennessee State and beat them pretty handily. And then they lost to Alabama. Alabama beat Georgia last week, and Alabama's Alabama. There are a lot of good players there. Saban did not leave the covered bear. They've had a little bit of trouble, pulling it all together, and there's been a transition. But they're good. They're very good. They're very talented, and that guy's a good coach to board. We know that. We played him in the national championship team, and we saw him when he was down as an assistant at Indiana, and our good friend Nick Sheridan's down there. But the old quarterback and our good friend out of Saline that's down there coaching in Alabama. But and then they lost to a Maryland team that surprisingly is undefeated. And we have talked about this Washington kid. This kid is a spectacular quarterback. We'll see him way down the line. And they were Loxley is under some pressure at Maryland too. Now they're saying that if Fickle doesn't win this game, they'll fire him. I hope that's not the case. Luke Fickle is a proven winner. He wrestled and played football at Ohio State. Everybody, I don't know him personally. Everybody I know that knows him likes him. Says he's a wonderful guy. But he
was great to me. He always was the linebacker at Sound Mind, Sound Body. He was always the guy who took us lower coaches at lower schools and taught us drills and helped. He was always great to me. I mean, obviously he's a Buckeye, but
he's a good guy. But
develops young coaches.
You got to win, man. You got to win. And so they pay these coaches enormous sums, millions of dollars. And that old saying, to who much is given, much is expected. So you got to win, man. And you got to show progress. And, the people of Wisconsin are accustomed, with the Packers and then Barry Alvarez and that great running head of having great teams there and competitive teams. And, so he's going to come in here. They're going to come in here into Ann Arbor, locked and loaded. which is a bad phrase in this environment, but they're going to come in here ready to play football and ready to get after us. And I anticipate it's going to be a physical matchup.
Well,
We
and
got to
that's
make big plays. We got to let our ability. I think going in, and I'm going to say this: that overall team speed, they will not match up to us. Uh, I just don't think they can.
yes.
But if they play great defense and we drop the ball and they kick well and we don't kick well, it's a recipe for disaster. So we got to come in there ready to go, ready to do it right away. Our quarterback's got to be who he is, make good choices, do the math, run. They're going to, Mike
Well,
Tressel, Jim Tressel's brother is the defense coordinator there. And he's
yeah,
been around a long time. He was at Michigan State
he was.
underneath D'Antonio,
He
and
had
so
some great
they're going to mix
defenses
it up,
in Michigan State.
and they're going to try to mix it up on our quarterback. Now, our quarterback presents a real challenge to everybody right now. Now that he's demonstrated that he can come out of the pocket and hurt you, and there are design runs for him, and so
Well,
that'll be a key.
I definitely want to get there too, Coach. I'm more kind of. I think some of these statistics are still a little skewed, only being 4 games into the season, like you said, depending on who you play and stuff.
Yeah, you get these gimmies in there.
Yeah,
I talked at length about the guaranteed victory thing, and I know it helps these smaller schools when they get the big paycheck and it funds it. But
well,
I think the Big Ten. I think the Big Ten should be like pro football. Every single there's 16 teams, just play 12 games, so everybody. I mean, you could play all your games, virtually most of them in the Big Ten with a couple non-conference, and we don't need now, but I think what happened with the advent of the bowl thing, where you have to have at least 6 or 7 to get into a bowl game. They like to get those, and then hopefully when get 3 out of conference with some easy games, and try to get 4 in conference, and you got a bowl. You could even get in there at 6 if they vote you in. So, that's what people are trying to do, but I don't think it serves. I don't know. That's my
uh,
opinion.
well, I
I
agree,
think
Coach.
everything's a competitive game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a competitive game, and honestly, I want to start talking. When I start talking about it, I want to start at Michigan's defense. I think we're going to build on some of the performance we had last week. We obviously had the 7 sacks, the pressures. We had an interception. We're getting turnovers, but we're allowing 17.8 a game, 0.8 points a game. That, as a defensive coordinator, I coached on a lot of defensive staffs. That is not something you're exactly happy with right there. I know that we're going to try to keep people out of the end zone. We're giving up about 77 yards rushing a game, 213 passing. So yeah, the yards might be there, but I'm looking to see how we perform in the red zone. I really think Wink Martindale is going to try to keep these guys out of the end zone, increase that statistic, get us
Well, we've had some coverage mistakes
I know.
that have
I know.
cost us.
Yep.
And we've talked about the 2 last week, and then there were a couple more prior to that. So even last year, we had real difficulty coordinate the front and the backs, the secondaries, our defensive fronts and the secondary. So, and we got some coverage mistakes, and then people take advantage of that. So, and we have talent in the back there, but we cannot make mistakes because they'll burn you, and the players catch and throw too well, and so you can't do that. The big statistic, I think, now the statistic we always focused on was points allowed, and
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's a good one.
yeah.
And you just talked about they've allowed 18.8, but they played a couple pretty good. Now they played Middle Tennessee State, Miami. Miami got 0 of Ohio, but so they played a couple pretty good teams. I think if you can keep people under 15, certainly had to be under 20, and then we have to score more than 20. Statistically, within the Big Ten, the old days of the shutout is becoming increasingly tough. First of all, you have these kickers. Most of them can kick 40-yard field goals, 40, 40, 45. Our guy had a wonderful 56-yarder. Zavada's back, and I'm happy to see that. But another statistic that's a good one, Rob, is that we've had 14 sacks, but this is a remarkable statistic to me. 32 tackles for loss. That's pretty damn good. So we're hitting people in the backfield. We're penetrating and getting people, runners in the backfield. and throwing them for a loss, and then 14 sacks. So we've been able to pressure them. They have 10 sacks and 18 tackles for a loss. Now they've been really stingy. They've only gotten up 50 yards on the ground, which is kind of an amazing statistic to me when they played two teams. But I think Maryland is starting to pass a lot, and apparently Alabama must have too. But I do want to point out that that I think our defense is really a talented one, particularly with Barnum on the edge. That was a big move. And I see those defensive linemen, those big guys up front, starting to make plays. They're not Mason Graham and they're not Grant yet, two remarkable first-round draft choices. I know Mason Graham, who everybody knows, one of the greatest players ever played at Michigan, and certainly one of my favorite to watch, is having the same success in the National Football League very early, and they're raving about him and how he plays the game. So what would Rashawn Berry and some of those other guys, the two Trays, we're starting to come on, and they're starting to get penetration. They're moving around and they're making plays. So the big thing, one of the big things I want to make sure that we can do, Rob, and we talked about that when we were together, is how important it is in a team like Wisconsin is to give them a bad play on first down. Because when you give them a bad play, lateral, horizontal field position, down and distance dictate everything in football, how you're going to play defense, what you're going to do, and what you're going to call offensively. So if we can give them a bad play on first down, a team that has struggled offensively, and we can force them into being one-dimensional, I think that'll be to our great advantage. So we can't let them have the 2nd and 5s, the 2nd and 6s where it's a run pass situation. And if we can do that, I think, and that's of course certainly the case with everybody. If we can just hold them and give them a negative play or a limited make it 2nd and 8, and force them into pass where we know what they're going to play, and then our kids can put their ears back, particularly those kids coming off the edge, Moore and TJ Guy and Ed Barnum, who I talked about, who is really a load. And then we have some younger players behind them. I don't even know it, but I know they're greatly talented and they're really highly recruited kids. So if we can do that and play great and not make mistakes in the secondary, the mistakes in the secondaries, there's two kinds of mistakes in football. There's the area of two kinds of mistakes in life: the area of omission and the area of commission. And we're making errors of commission. Doesn't mean we're not trying. Omission means you don't try. Commission means you're doing something, but you make a mistake. You're giving an effort. So we just got to eliminate mistakes, because in modern day football, these mistakes against these quarterbacks we're going to see are costly, because they'll take advantage of it.
Do we know if we're getting any of our guards back? I mean, did we get healthy coming out of the bye week?
El Hadi, Giovanni El Hadi's coming back, and the other kid, Norton's coming back. I think his name is Guarnera. I think I have that right. He's played well, and we've talked about the center who has been around several years at Michigan and has waited to play. And we brought transfers in and put him ahead of him. And you mentioned that last week. He's playing great football.
He's my MVP of the Nebraska game.
A real leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Link and then Gentry got to keep getting better, those tackles. Now, you heard what I said when I read what Sharon said, who played offensive line, understands offensive line. He and Coach Newsom, are focused on that. And he said, we're getting better. We're playing really hard, much harder, and we're getting nastier. He used the word nastier. So we're getting tough there. And Fickle recognizes that. And he said they're very good up there. And they've always been good. But, he said, looking at the Nebraska game, he was impressed. And he's a defensive guy. And then he talked about the difficulty of defending a guy who could pass and run. And we have a guy who can do that.
I was just going to say, Coach, that's my next.
The receivers, everybody thinks there's a problem. I don't think it is, because I think we're going to get there. Now, there's a couple things. They're talking about catching the ball. You catch the ball with your eyes.
Yeah.
If you, and I told you, we studied this. When you look at the great player like Carter, who rarely dropped anything, was so gifted. The only balls he dropped, he'd look away right at the end, right at the reception, at the time, about the time the ball was going to hit his hands. And then he wouldn't adjust his hands appropriately and then process the information. So a neurological phenomenon that exists. It's like hitting a baseball, you hit it with your eyes. You got to see the ball to hit it. Tennis ball. People can relate to this. Pickleball. So if you don't look at it, you ain't going to hit it. Same thing with catching a football.
Well, I know
So,
you touched on that. You touched on that last.
Reps.
Go ahead.
Drops are inexcusable, but drops you gotta you coach. So he's coaching them, and so the mechanism of catching a ball is getting your hands in the right position. Now the other thing I think they have to create a little separation, and the way you do that is by always going to turn. You're always going to give a small feint to the defender, whether he's in zone or man. You're going to try to move him, and then you're going to move away. And you're going to burst away and create separation. And so that's what you have to do and use your athletic ability. So you just go out there and run a circle, you're not hard to cover. You go out there and you move the defender, then boom, then you come back. That's how you do it. So we taught that, and we had great success doing it. And, I'd learned that from all these great coach at BYU and had all these wonderful receivers and all that stuff. So I think McCulley, is a force. That guy, so he's kept his average catches for 15 yards, 13 receptions. I like Klein, our tight end. He's been hobbled by that tight end. Hogan could play. We got another guy named Marshall as a tight end. So, Schmaz, he made a nice play to help us win that game at Nebraska. So I want to see him continue to evolve, make some plays downfield. And so, they're not good when they thought should have caught the ball in the end zone. And they're upset with that. I don't consider it a drop. It just missed it. Maybe misjudged it. Could have put a little air under it, maybe, but the quarterback. Well, so I think that'll come together. I do not think it's an acute situation. Now, Marsh, they like Marsh. They're going to play Marsh, the freshman, the big kid who returns kicks, number 4. Big, tall guy, pretty big, tall guy. And then, we have some other guys that have been around a little bit that are sure-handed, might not run past you. But we have guys who can do that. McCulley can run past you. And Moore can run past you. Moore, I expect Moore to come on. Derek Moore. I think he can do it. And so I think just get him the ball.
Frederick Moore.
Concentrate.
Number 3.
Frederick Moore, sorry.
Derek Moore's our defensive end.
I think we're going to be okay. I mean, I don't think it's an acute situation. Now, I also think
you're more positive than me. I think we need to seriously.
There's talent there.
I think our receiver needs to seriously improve. I think they
show up and be a great receiver. It's like everything else. I think they're getting better. Certainly, there's going to be an emphasis on doing well and being better. And I think you make, you get competition, which is, it sounds to me. And he talked about another freshman receiver that made progress. So I think he's ready to move some other guys in there and see what they can do. And I think that's okay because the guys that are being replaced better get moving. And they better not drop the ball. They better look it in. And, that's what they're here for, to catch the ball, block and catch the ball. So I think we're going to be okay there. I think he needs to take a little bit off the short passes. He throws fastballs. Bryce.
If it hits you in the hands, you got to catch it, Coach. You got to catch it if it hits you in the hands.
That's why you're a receiver, so you are there to, I don't want to say paid, but I guess I can say paid. You're paid to catch the ball, so you catch it. And so that's like when you run, you're entrusted with that ball, so you run with it and you don't fumble. And anybody else who handles the ball is entrusted with it. The team entrusts them with that.
Well, I'm anticipating our receiver group getting better and better. I want to see them show up. I do think that when Bryce throws for 117 yards and he could throw for more, it's not necessarily all hit on him. But we do run when we're running the ball
team game. It's, you got to have protection too, Rob.
I get it.
But you got to catch the ball.
When we're running the ball like that, I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter. If we get over 300 yards and we win the game, it doesn't really matter where the yards come from. I'm under that thought.
I do like this. I like to look at this. I think the best teams offenses are balanced. That's in
I know. We
pro,
talk about
college,
it
high
every
school.
week.
So right now we're almost 60% run, or 59 and 41 pass. Now, when we had our great teams and we made our run, we were 55 run, 45 pass. That was our equation. And we always had, now talk about positive plays on first down. We always had positive plays. So when we did go back to pass, we were able to get guys open. Now they're 57% run, 43% pass. The kid who has played in there that may or may not be replaced from San Diego State has run the ball. I think something like 44 times, or 32 times, something like 44 yards, something like 40 times for 44 yards, which tells me he's done run the ball. He's been sacked. So he's been sacked a lot. And from a turnover standpoint, they haven't been as good. We've been very good. We're plus 1.3 turnover ratio. So in every game, we're getting almost 1.5 turnovers. And remember, that's 7 points. Turnovers are everything, particularly where you drop it or where you pick it up. And then they're 0.8. So they're almost losing, a fumble a game or an interception a game. So we got to win the turnover battle, which is one of the things we always want to do. The other thing we talk about, Rob, is third down efficiency. We're getting better. We're 42% on third down now. Now I want to be over 45. You like to be over 50. JJ was always over 50. On any third down situation, almost half the time we came away with the first down and the most important down in football, third down. And there's 40% on third down. Our defense is holding. The opponents are only successful on our defense 37% of the time on third down. And we got to get that down under 35. So only a third of the time can we expect them to be successful on third down. How this statistic came up, the opponents are only successful against them 1 out of every 4 times, 25%. So I don't know where that comes from. Now they shut out Miami, Ohio. Miami, then I don't think they gained a yard. But they're now, as bad as they have been offensively, they're completing 67% of the passes. And Bryce is still at 56%. In the old days, you complete over 50% of your passes. That was a pretty good statistic. That's not good anymore. You got to be over 60, well over 60, almost 70% of the, you got to complete 70% of them.
I think,
and there's no the learning curve with him. And he's had some drops, but I'll tell you what. One thing he's not careless. Doesn't throw interceptions, and I like him. I like our guy as much as anybody.
Well, that's where I wanted to go with it, Coach. I love Bryce Underwood. I'd like to see that he got some quarterback designed runs. Last week we ran a QB counter with him. We had
that one he ran for 37 yards for a touchdown was wonderful.
Well,
right?
So both touchdowns. We had the Q counter, and then when you get a Q counter and you got the back, you're +1 in the box. So you're numerical advantage already. And then he did a great job. It's a passing play. He saw, he fleed his running back out there. He saw the guy go with him in man, and he ran it up the middle for a touchdown. So they say it was a quarterback draw. It looked like to me it was a passing play that he decided he was going to take off and run. I'm excited to see the quarterback.
And we noticed it together. You have to run the quarterback inside the 10-yard line. You have to run him.
Yeah, material.
He is not. He's the one man that is not accounted for by the defense. So we even see the pros. Even Herbert. Jimmy had Herbert running in from the 3-yard line. Herbert over there with the Chargers. So and Dante Moore. Dante Moore did the same. Moore did the same thing. So I think we got to have design runs. But I like Chip Lindsey. I like Chip Kelly too. Now he's with wherever the hell he is in pro football.
Raiders. He's with the Raiders.
Okay. I didn't like him at Ohio State, but when he was coaching for them, I think he's very good, creative guy. But I like our guy, and I think he's getting a feel for the kids and getting a feel for what our strengths are. And I think he's calling plays that take advantage of our strength. I love that play where he had Shamaz throw the ball. He just couldn't get it there. He's got small hands, I'm sure, Shamaz. So all that's good stuff. And then, of course, the quarterback draw was a marvelous call.
I think
And so I think we're rolling. We got two really good coordinators. I mean, really good,
yeah.
outstanding coordinators.
With the design quarterback runs, we eliminate some drops. We get a little more balanced. I think it's a recipe to really separate ourselves from Wisconsin instead of playing a 3-point game. I'm excited to see that. I think that our defensive secondary they've had some crazy blowing coverage calls. So I think that now if they can lock those up and make some of these balls that hit their hands or hit their helmet and make turnovers out of those, we can do good. Our linebackers are playing good.
You got to coach them up.
Yep. Linebackers are playing good. We talked about the receivers and the quarterbacks. Now, I personally think, I think Justice Haynes is going to be, obviously, he's a home run hitter. If he gets a crease, he's gone. I am looking to see Jordan Marshall have a breakout game against Wisconsin. I think we're going to ground and pound. I think he's going to get an opportunity against these guys.
He's averaging 5.3 a carry.
I know.
I mean, he's doing pretty good. He's 23rd in a conference. He's like 160 yards or something like that.
I'm telling you.
When you throw Bryce running the ball, we're a pretty good running team.
Well, you got Bryce running it. You got Bryce running it, and then they got Justice running it, and then we bring in our backup. Oh, if they're bringing in their backup, they must be doing something. They're going to pass. They're going to let him pass. Oh no, we're going to hand it to him. He's going to run it for 5 carries. Yeah,
Jordan Murphy. A big, thick-legged kid.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, don't forget Big Bredesen leading the way. He was forced when Klein was to play tight end. But I like him as an H-back or a fullback leading the way. Big Bredesen, our team leader, and that's good. I think that's good football for us. Now, we got to punt well. We got to punt better. And we got to cover. And we cannot make kicking mistakes. We have to win the kicking game, be better at them. We got Sabata. We got him straightened out. They got him straightened out, the best kicker in college football. Had a couple misses, unfortunately, against Oklahoma. That kid's a weapon. And a 56-yarder, he can kick it a long way. And the pro guys are kicking at 60 now. So it's almost get to your own 50 and you can score.
Yeah.
So I think that we got to utilize our assets, our team speed, offensively and defensively. And I think we have more team speed than Wisconsin. I think we're good. I think we close on the ball well. I think we can run fast. So we got to utilize that. We have to give them bad plays on first down. I want to emphasize that and make them one-dimensional and force them into doing what they don't do well, which is pass the ball. Or run the ball for that matter at this point. But he's going to want to run. He's going to come in and try to run. He's going to come in here and try to run. He's going to come in here and try to fool Bryce with his fronts and secondary coverages and then play with his big, strong defensive front that he has, these big linebackers, and make it difficult for us to run and force us into being a passing team. But I think we can be a 50-50 team, and, we can throw on some pass downs throw on some run downs and run on some pass downs. I think we're getting there with our offensive coordinator kids. Tackling, we got to do a good job on it. We can't miss tackles. We got to be great in the open field. Open field tackling is an art form, particularly in today when they get the ball out. They get the ball out real quick on these quick screens and all that stuff to get you got to tackle in the open field against these great athletes. And so you got to wrap them up, and you got to, you can't stand flat-footed. You got to anticipate where they're going, make good angle, give them a one-way go. You can't stand there and give any great running back a two-way go because you're done. And then we got to do a good job on take good angles. Our DBs, we talk about it, we cannot screw up coverages. We got to continue to be a good turnover team, win the turnovers. We have to be a no-mistake team. Made a lot of mistakes. No dumb penalties like we did with Hillman last week. We can't do that. That's not disciplined, or 2 weeks ago. That's not who we are. And I'm sure that's been emphasized. And I'm sure he's heard about it enough that he'll never make another motion again. Quarterback choices are important. Linebacker choices are important. Get us in the right coverage. Get us in the right fronts. All those things are good. And then we got to play inspired. Motivation and performance. We always talk about that relationship. We got to come out there jacked up. We're ready to go because we're playing for the title. Every single time we go out there, we're playing for the title. We're in the mix. We're playing for the title.
Well, historically, Michigan does pretty good we're 49-15-1 versus Wisconsin. We have the edge in the big house usually against them, but I mean, I think I don't know what you always told me, the sum of one game never equals the sum of the next. There's
Well, history doesn't mean those statistics don't mean too much because those are old teams.
Yeah.
I mean, those are past teams.
Yeah.
So I don't know statistically how that affects what happens today. This is a brand new game. It's 0-0. They're coming in with a coach that's under duress. I mean, he is being really criticized over there. They booed him. They chanted "Fire Fickle," and he's a fighter and a tough guy, and I'm sure the kids like him. And so they're going to fight for their coach. They're going to fight to keep their coach, and they have pride. That's a place that has pride. It's a wonderful school, and they've had real success, and so we're going to get their best shot. And Michigan, almost always gets everybody's best shot. So we got to prepare. We have to be mentally right. And now we got our coach back. We got our leader. All things are in place. We're home. We're playing for the title. We got big things, big challenges ahead of us, but big opportunities. Big opportunities.
Absolutely.
So we got to rise to the occasion, get better.
Yeah,
and have some fun. Have some fun. And the fans got to have some fun. You fans got to be a big part of it. The fans make a difference in college football.
Absolutely.
In pro football, for that. The fans make a difference. We got the greatest fans in the world and make a lot of noise and appreciate our team and love them and have a great time in the greatest stadium in America. And what's going to be a magnificent weather this summer, this late summer we're having is wonderful. And so we got to enjoy it and enjoy a great day at Michigan Stadium and root these young players, this young team, relatively young team in a lot of ways, young quarterback. Stay behind them. We'll have a mistake or two. Things might not go well all the time, but in the end, we're Michigan and we stick together and we're going to come out of it. And we got a lot ahead of us. And boy, it's disappointment of the Oklahoma game. But at the same time, I said disappointed, but not discouraged. And I'm encouraged by a lot of things happening.
Well, I agree, Coach, and I definitely want to hit a couple of these segments we're starting to do every week before we go. I think we did a good recap or good preview on Wisconsin. I mean, we hit every position group. We hit offense, defense. Obviously, you're a big proponent of special teams. Without winning the special teams game, it's unlikely to win the football game. We have to have field position. We have to execute. We have to punt well. We have to tackle well in the open field, and we have to make some plays on special teams for sure and get some really good play out of those guys that play on the special teams. So,
and we got to make a couple returns, get some returns.
Get a first down, man.
Shorten the field. When you shorten the field for your offense, it's a big deal.
Well, first segment I got Big Ten barbershop, Coach. I mean, I got a couple questions, but the first one that comes to my mind is back, and I'll come to a Michigan question, but that targeting call and the Penn State Oregon game, the Penn State guy goes helmet to helmet with the Oregon guy in overtime, and they don't call targeting. They don't even give a 5-yard or anything. I mean, Coach? What is targeting?
They said he declared himself as a runner, but that was
it was the crown of his helmet. Crown of his helmet.
If we're going to protect the players. Now, they don't want to make those calls in critical situations. They keep that happens in all sports. They don't want the game decided on a penalty. But, I think we got to look at, they got to continue to look at those things. And I'm just happy it doesn't result in an injury. But, if we're going to protect these players, let's protect them. And I'm with you. I thought certainly it was. But it worked out for Oregon, and I'm glad the Oregon player was not injured. I don't think it's not malicious in that these kids don't mean to do it, but it's hard. It's one thing to watch on TV, but as you well know, you get down there, boy, it's quick and it's fast, and things happen in a blink of an eye, blink of a second, man. Boom. And there's a lot of big forces, in fact, and velocity and man, it's inertia and all that stuff. So it's hard to adjust. But we got to continue to teach to protect the head of the players. because for God's sake, they don't want to end up like me.
I was going to ask you who's the most overrated team in the Big Ten, but there's so many good teams, and I don't know how it shakes out. I would hate to say USC is overrated, and then they just played a really good Illinois team. There's so many things.
You know, I think I bet
Penn State?
for me. Oh no. Penn State's loaded, man. They got backs, they got guys, receivers,
That
they went out and
defensive
got
back,
receivers.
hold on, coach, number 6, their defensive back.
Oh boy, what a player he is! What a marvelous player he is!
I mean, he showed up on the film everywhere, making tackles behind the line of scrimmage, breaking up passes. He's changing coverages. He's getting people lined up. I mean, what he does for Penn State's defense is, I mean, what Rod Moore has done for us previously.
So what's happened to Penn State now is they must win the Ohio State game. They must.
Okay.
And they have the talent to do it. I think that what we have probably is some underrated teams.
Yeah.
And remember, I've seen teams that aren't very good at the beginning just get better and come together as a team and learn how to play and start to get some breaks and gain momentum.
Well, you always say that about Wangler's team. That what team do you talk about where they had a couple
of 1980, 81 Rose Bowl champion, Big Ten champion, 1980.
If they would have had a playoff system, they would have come into the playoffs.
Nobody would have beat us.
Hot.
That team had what we call the it factor. It's indescribable. It was that they came together. Now, they were great players. I don't know how many, 16 of them drafted plural football. I mean, really talented group.
Yeah.
Offense, defense, along the way. The Golden Bachelor was in there. I mean, that team came together. And I think the staff, after probably we didn't do as good a job of coaching in the beginning, we came together too. I remember Bo saying after a disappointing loss he, interestingly enough, if you ever lost anybody shouldn't, he was miserable. But he was the hardest on you. Number one, the practices were always harder than the games when you played for him. Games were like nothing. Doesn't matter who we play. I'm telling you, the practices were challenging and arduous and aggressive and violent. I mean, there was hitting and tough. You played against each other, and you played against really great players because you played against each other.
Gruden.
But anyway, that 80 team came together and gained momentum. And momentum, it got better and better, started to believe in themselves. And by the end of the time, when we went out to play Washington, there's nobody going to beat us. Nobody would have beat that team. That team, and you believed it. As a coach, you just felt the momentum. And as a player, we all felt it. We just felt it. They're not going to beat us. We can't be beat. We will be victorious. We're going to beat Ohio State. Once we got over that, lost a heartbreak to Notre Dame, and then had that hangover and lost to George Washington in an inferior South Carolina team, we just started coming, man. We started coming. Bo would say, I'm going to be hard on him. He said, but man, I want you to go put your arm around the guys, and I want you to encourage the players, and I want you to listen to them and hear what they say, and get them in, and do the extra thing for film, and get them ready, Well, we've got to hug him, get him back, yeah. And he was marvelous. There's nobody better than him. I could talk forever about him. He was a spectacular human being in every way. I can't express to you, there's not a day goes by when I don't rely on him in some way. And every man, including you, that ever had a great experience of being around him will stand up and say that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You could
just a sensational coach and person and charismatic. You wanted to be around him.
His words carried, yeah. His words carried weight and they carried thought. He never said something he didn't mean. Everything that was calculated that he talked to you about, there was always a motive. He was, like we talk about motivation and performance. I mean, everything was a motivation technique. Everything from, I hear Jimmy talk about how much do you weigh and what do you, are you lifting weights and talking to him when you're on the scout team and stuff, the same stuff you used to do to me that we would do
to Bo never let anybody go. He was the aggressor. I mean, he didn't, he didn't wait for you to talk to him. He talked to you. What's going on? What are you doing? You going to class? How's everything going? Well, how's your knee? You get to the training room. Are you doing the right things? He was boom, boom. But that was his approach. Coaching to him was teaching and the most honorable profession. I embraced it. And like I had Urban Meyer tell me that I would have never made it in coaching without Coach Schembechler. When I got my first head job at Bowling Green, I had no idea what to do, how to be a head coach. And he said, and I called Bo. And all throughout the season, Bo told me what to do and how to organize and how to get your assistants moving and all that stuff. He said, I owe him any success I've had as a head coach. And this is what he said to me personally. He might not ever repeat it publicly, but he said this to me in Detroit at Sound Mind, Sound Body. He said, I owe my success in coaching to Bo Schembechler. And there are hundreds of other guys that will tell you that, high school, junior high, and, other people. There are a few guys that transcend the sport and they affect the community, the community as a whole. And, he did that because he had a man of great values, believed in right and wrong and telling the truth and doing the right thing and hard work, and duty, honor, and country, and a lot of good stuff.
Well,
values that seem old now.
Yeah.
When people can lie and tell the mistruth and then it's excused away. Never, didn't, there was certain conduct in behavior in values. So that was, and it came from Woody and all those great people, that he worked and coached with, Deutt Perry, and it all starts with Red Blake and Paul Brown. It goes way back. And that's these people that come from the Midwest, that was their ethic. And that's how they believed in coaching and teaching young people. And they approached it as the most honorable profession. And in the end, the people who leave their footprints in the sand are the great teachers. And certainly he was one of those.
Well, you just
don't get me started on him.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode. Well, I got two.
You want to do a bow thing? You want to do a bowathon? And I've done this everywhere, and I talk about him everywhere, and I feel obliged to do it because special guy. But he was a synthesis of all these things that happened to him in his life.
Well,
a father, was a fireman, and all these things, and a wonderful mother, and a great family, and all that good stuff.
Well, just hearing about you talking about how he practiced, I heard John Gruden talk. He did a little rant about how you can't practice in pro football, and everybody thinks, oh, let's eliminate the practices so we eliminate injuries. And it's actually, he thinks it's increasing the injuries. All these quarterbacks are hurt. People aren't blocking. There's blocked kicks. All these things are happening that didn't happen in the first 5 to 6 games of pro football that are happening at a tremendous rate because he said they don't get to practice with pads anymore. So just hearing you talk about the old days.
This is what Bo felt. He said you have to learn how to accept a blow and to strike a blow. It is a martial sport. And how do you do that if you do not practice? And if you do not practice some segments full speed, that's how you learn to play. And he also believed, and I believe this too, it steals you. It gets you, you're used to getting hit and knocked down and getting up. And so, although I've had 2 hip replacements and a new knee, and that's probably a result of some of that, you knew how to deliver a blow, how to block, how to tackle. He preached technique. He preached aggressiveness and to bring your feet with you, but hit hard and play hard and tackle correctly. And every day we started with those things. So he believed that you kind of get steeled. It's like everybody else. People can relate to this. When you first do something, it's awkward or not easy to do. But once you practice, the first time you put on pads, it feels funny. First, when you put pads on again, but you have to do it on some regular basis, or you'll be vulnerable to injury. And the other thing, the greatest innovation in sports has been the development of the individual athlete in the weight room, and training, and nutrition and all that stuff. So all that has to be a part of it too. So if you're prepared correctly, and your strength, appropriate, the injuries, the amount of injuries becomes less when you become, in shape and strong, and your tendons and joints and all that good stuff. And part of it is knowing how to play. And you learn how to play by doing it full speed. They can't be full speed all the time, but you have to do some things full speed, full go, to learn how to play. You just can't show up. Now, the pros have been around, they're veteran guys and do stuff, but the great teams have pretty aggressive one-on-one drills, pass blocking drills, all that stuff. And if you go to the pro practices, they're competitive.
Yeah.
The defensive backs are going to cover the receivers full speed. They don't care who they are. Now, they put a red shirt on the quarterback, but because, it's not worth getting millions of dollars hurt, but, it's all part of it. That's how that's practicing and preparation, which is an essential part. You're going to, winning in the game is a byproduct of practice and your approach and the whole thing together, and the culture. That's how you win. You put it all together.
Okay. Well,
and preparation is critical.
Yeah, preparation. Obviously, everyone calls. Hey, when does luck happen? When preparation intersects with hard work is when that's when luck survives and thrives. So,
yep. Like Coach Carter.
Yeah. Well, the truth serum, Coach Blade's truth serum. I don't really have any great questions for you, but I want to know, since Bryce is a young guy and he has a very live arm, had one of the quickest releases we've seen. And everybody's raving about his arm, but now his legs are coming on. What is more dangerous, Bryce Underwood's legs or his arm?
Well, to me, what differentiates him is those athletic skills, but his mentality.
Yeah.
I think he can process the field. Now, if you read Bill Walsh's book about quarterback play, he talks about how he's flushing Joe Montana to the right, because that way Joe could look down half the field, which he could process. And then you read about Tom Brady. Tom Brady, and this is a gift that is perceptual. He could see the whole field. Tom could process the entire field. So he could see the receivers to the right, the receivers to the left, and make a judgment about where to go after he processed the defensive backs and, the coverages. So I think Bryce, and I think he's a confident guy. He could have the greatest. We've seen guys. Ability just gives you, Bill McCarthy's ability just gives you a chance. Well, he's got rare ability, but it's the whole package. And the great quarterbacks are the guys that make right choices, that process it, but they lead, but they have a will and a strong mentality. Like Tom Brady. Tom Brady was not going to lose, and he was going to do what was required. Now he was gifted because he could do this stuff and process the field and get the ball out with a quick release and get it to the right player. But in the end, it's what's in here. It's in between the ears that makes you a great winner and a player.
You told me that quote,
and that's what I think. That's what I think his greatest ability is who the hell the kid is.
Yeah.
And his mom and dad did a good job with him. I'll tell you that. I mean, he is a confident guy. He's a freshman, for God's sake. He just turns 18. It's remarkable. And the same thing is true with that kid in Maryland. I mean, really, these other guys have been around a couple of years. Well, you're around a couple of years, you learn what to do. You become a man. He's not. He's a high school senior, for God's sake. He could easily be in high school. And but he plays like, it's remarkable to me, the poise and the talent he has and the ability to make the right choice and to lead. I think that's what his greatest abilities are. I really do. Because I've seen guys with strong arms, great runners and stuff like that. And they could do, that can take you so far. But I guess that's the competitive edge, that what makes you a champion is the approach and how you look at it and the ability to think correctly. And he's got a strong will, and he self-corrects. He's interesting because you can see him self-correcting himself on the field. So he knows what he's doing. I mean, you can't correct yourself if you make a mistake if you don't know what you're doing. He's a remarkable young man. I want to keep him humble. One of the things that can wreck him is too much too soon. He still has a long way to go. He's got to get a lot better. But all the elements are there for greatness. Is he great right now? No, not by a long shot. Can he be great? Can he become great? Yes. Does that do a lot to get there? Yes. He's got a lot of work to do. A lot of work.
Well, Coach Blade, you always shoot it straight. There's the truth right there. Bryce's best ability is in between the ears. I love to hear that. I actually put out a tweet.
Without a good team, it's an 11-man game. The most important position on the field is quarterback.
Yep.
Unquestionably.
Well,
but without those guys in front.
On Saturday, you told me the Bill McCartney quote, "Ability just gives you a chance," and then I quoted you, and I put out a tweet that says, "And only few will make the sacrifice." So I put both those quotes next to each other on my Twitter because you said that to me when we were on the couch watching the game, and you're so correct. I mean, a lot of people have ability, but
remember when you were a little boy, and I took you down to see the 49ers practice.
Yep.
And everybody left, but who stayed out for an hour?
Jerry Rice.
Yeah. At that time, the premier receiver, maybe the premier player in pro football. He stayed out an hour afterwards with a backup quarterback, working on routes, working on coverage recognition, all the different things, route rec. Oh, I mean, it's just
everybody else was showered up and went home. Yeah.
Bryce was there doing what was required to be great.
Yeah.
Greatest receiver in history, perhaps.
Oh, hands down in my estimation, but I understand there's some other great talents out there that have challenged that. But Coach, I think we've hit it all.
Greatness. What I like to say, Rob, is greatness is greatness. So, how do you differentiate between Anthony Carter and Woodson?
It's hard.
They're both great.
Yeah.
So they're great. And they're up in the pantheon of great players. They're up there with Deerdorf and Ron Johnson and Ron Kramer and, Tom Brady. Some of these other – and Tom wasn't great really until the end, and then when he left. He became great. He made himself great. He willed himself to be great. Greatness is greatness. So you can talk about who's the greatest ever, Barry Sanders or Jim Brown. Hell, they're both great, and they're both a great pleasure to watch for me, and I have high regard for both of them. And I want to say something about these things. This thing is having this little toddler talking about hating Michigan. I do not hate Ohio State. I respect Ohio State. I love Ohio State. I love to play Ohio State. I love the competition. I love the Ohio State guys that I know. They're wonderful human beings and great people and great guys, and I have the highest regard for that school. One of my best friends is a guy named Peter Watson, played at Michigan State. So I want people to get off that. Let's have fun with sports. There's enough hate out there. We got enough bad people out there that do evil things. This is just a sport. These are sports. So let's embrace these rivalries. If we get to this thing where it gets crazy and the kids, you don't let a team celebrate afterwards and you start a fist fight, let's not get there. Let's have sportsmanship as part of this. And let's teach sportsmanship to the kids. That's not cute to me. That disturbed me. A little 3-year-old, I hate Michigan, I hate hardball. It does look, it's a sport. And these are wonderful academic institutions that stand for much more than the sports that the kids play. They're much greater than that. This is the front porch of these institutions, but it's not what the institutions are. They're institutions of higher learning and education. And what they put out, the cure cancer and all these wonderful things that are happening at these institutions, preparing our young people to go out and be great citizens. That's what they are. And that's what it is. And that's what Ohio State is. That's what Michigan is. That's what Michigan State is. That's what they are. Now, when we play them, we're going to try like hell to beat them. And on that day, they're not going to be my best friend. But the next day, Sunday, they're going to be my best friend again because I love my school and it's a competition and there's passion involved. But I do not like the word hate in athletics. I don't think it belongs in athletics.
Yeah.
I don't.
I agree. Rival, competitiveness, challenge.
I love John Hicks. There's nobody I love more than John Hicks. Outland Trophy winner at Ohio State University. Great player. Great man. I mean, that guy was special. When he was dying, I had gone to an operation. He called me every day. He told me both. I told him both stories. He told me Woody stories. It's a remarkable guy and an Ohio State captain and one of the great people to ever go through there. And I'm honored. I was honored to know him. And I said in an article in Sports Illustrated, my grandchildren will know who John Hicks was. That's how I feel about him. and Woody Hayes and all these great Ohio State guys. And so it's a rivalry, but that, they cross out the M's and all that crap. If they want to do that, that's fine. But what we're going to do at Michigan is respect our opponents, and we're going to play like hell to win, and we're going to be at our very best, and then that's it. And we're going to shake hands, and then go to the next game.
Well,
and that's our challenge, and that's who we are.
I love to hear
that's
that.
Who I hope we are.
That's how you raised me. That was always the in between the lines, in between the whistles, fight like heck, to compete as hard as you can, and then shake hands and be a good sport afterwards. And because without a fair rival, who are you? What are you? Without Ohio State, what is Michigan? How are you the greatest rivalry in sports without
Michigan State? These rivals are wonderful, and I'm telling you, playing them, it's an honor to play in them. It's an honor to play and coach in those rivalries.
Well, and
it's fun, man. You're on all week long. You're on cloud nine, coaching and getting ready and preparing as a player and as a coach. There's nothing like it, and as a fan too.
Yeah.
As a fan too.
Yeah.
And then if you're disappointed, though, do not act badly.
Well,
and do not say derogatory things about the opponent.
Well, Coach,
respect them.
You see it all the time. Tom Brady and his backup was they had the Michigan quarterback. Michigan now down in Houston, C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins, and they're best buds now and they played against each other in college. It's beyond sport.
Well, the players have no problem with it. The players love each other. The fans sometimes don't understand.
They get carried. They get out of hand.
I'm telling you, these guys are unbelievable athletes and great players and great people, and they're like you, and they have a lot in common. They're excessives and they're fun, and they want to win and do things. But they're tremendous people, teammates, and people to be with, and people to know. So that's what it is, and I don't want people. The thing there is you hate your opponents. You hate people who disagree with you politically. You don't want to talk. It's not the way. That's not the way.
Yes.
That's not the way we're all going to be better. So the thing is, be at our very best. I expect our fans to always be at their very best because our fans mean so much to the players and to the team. I tell you, when you go out there and you play and coach, and the support that we get, I tell you, it's inspiring. And it should be a celebration. It's a tremendous spectacle. College football with the band and all the things that happen. It's a spectacle. It should be embraced and enjoyed. And regardless of the outcome, you got, the emotions you go through. In the course of a game, you don't do this in normal life. You're up here, you're down there, you're going to win, you're going to lose, you're down, you're depressed, you're exhilarated, we're up ahead by 6 points, you kick the field goal. The emotional swings, you only get that in life. In other situations, sometimes not really in business or marriage. When people get married or died, you have these but in sports, it's a wonderful thing.
Well, Coach, you saw Dan Lanning. You saw Dan
is think of it that way.
Dan Lanning was jacked out of his mind after the.
Oh my gosh!
He's shaking, and
I got a cop out.
I can't even do an interview because he's so jacked. He said, and he's very respectful to the other coach, and he's trying to compose himself.
And they should not ever. I'm telling you, the worst thing you can do is interview a guy after a game, particularly when he loses.
Well, you saw that with Brian Kelly.
Interview the winners. It's very difficult. Very difficult. You put so much into it. You invest so much into it.
Well, Coach.
So when you lose, it's tough.
It's tough.
But then you got to. But it's not what happens to your life that counts. It's how you react to it. So you come back, and that's what sports teach you. You get knocked down, you get up. You come back, you get better.
Well, Coach, we came off a bye week. We didn't even recap last game, and we took it.
We're too long.
We're too long. But
cut this up, edit it.
No, if you've stayed with us this long, please like and subscribe. Give us some comments. Give us some feedback. We would like to hear criticism. Hey, tell us what we did wrong.
I want criticism for the Ohio State people.
Yeah.
I want and Michigan State people.
I
love you.
Yeah.
I love you. But when we play you, I don't want.
Yeah.
Remember that. I'm a former Wolverine player, but not a former Wolverine. Always
a Wolverine, Coach. I appreciate you. It was great talking to you. I can't wait for Saturday. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, man.
Go Blue.
Bye. Go Blue.
No.